another up-close video for you today, this time looking at some Polkadoodles goodies. I've never actually had any of their stuff in the past before, but the lovely Nikki at Polkadoodles sent me a load of gorgeous goodies so that I could make some samples for her for their shows on Hochanda. So probably by the time these videos are up, you'll have already seen the shows that have been on the telly, and I'll make sure to have links to these products to the UK Polkadoodles website, and also they sell their products on Simon Says Stamp as well, so I'll leave the links to that as well. But I really love her style. It's really like quirky and modern, and I really enjoyed working with it. I mean, I've only had a couple of days to work on the projects that I've been doing, but I really wish I could spend like an entire week just playing with all of these gorgeous goodies. So the main focus of this up close video is these brand new Floral Fireworks stamp sets and a sentiment set to go with them as well, plus a paper pad too, which I'll show you in a minute. And I'm also going to bring in some of the other die sets and bits and pieces that I've used on some of the cards, just so I can tell you what the name is, because I'm not familiar with them all yet. So these are the main two die sets. They're called Floral Fireworks 1 and 2, and there's 14 stamps in each of the die sets. I love their packaging, that they've given you some really funky colour ideas. Like, they're all watercoloured in, which I think is it really suits this style, watercolouring. So if you love your watercolouring, these are some gorgeous stamps. But they also really suit alcohol colouring as well, because I love using my Copics and stuff to colour things in. But I love that they're called Floral Fireworks, because I think they can really suit that kind of time of year, like the autumn time of year, but I think they're really good for winter as well, because this really gives me like snowflake vibes, and I'm thinking this one can be, you could somehow create it into a Christmas tree as well, but they're really gorgeous stamps. And I love this sort of scribbly style of them with the little circles. It's kind of how I doodle, actually, so I really like that. And I love that she gives small little elements, because I often want to have little hearts floating off on a card, or stars, or, you know, bits and pieces like that. And you even got like this little rectangle which would perfectly fit some of the word stamps in too. So if I show you from this side, I don't know whether it's easier to look at the coloured ones or the actual stamps, but they are slightly larger. Yeah, they're slightly larger than the images on the front. But yeah, sorry, they're all dirty because I've been using them a lot. But I really do like them. I really love this scribbly style of them. Some really cool designs that you don't see anywhere else, really. So that is number 1. And then number 2, see, this one looks like holly to me. As well, so again, Christmassy. You could make a whole wreath just using that one die and turn it into Christmassy cards, but you don't have to use them as Christmas either. This is a really useful floral design. You've got this dotty one is really sweet as well, and you've got a swirly one, which I actually used as baubles on one of my cards. I was supposed to keep to non-Christmas cards with these two sets, but I couldn't resist doing a Christmas tree and using that as a bauble, and this as the star on the top of it, and using this one to give texture to the Christmas tree as well. So again, they're great for just adding texture to things too, or creating really cool backgrounds. I think this would look really great, just sort of you know, stamped a few times, scattered across the card. This is a sort of unusual stamp as well, but this can give some really cool leafy foliage to these sort of ones. You can add a scribbly stalk to it and add some leaves and stuff. So I think they really spark your imagination for how you can build up your own design using them as well. And I just really love that sketchy, scribbly kind of look to them too. So those are the two stamp sets, the main ones. And then there's also this one, which is really good. It's called Super Sentiments, and you get 49 stamps in this, and you get so many different words that you can build together to create different phrases, and like properly personalize a card for a specific reason as well. You get spring, summer, autumn, winter, happy birthday, with love, wish, anniversary, super awesome day, hello, thinking, wishing, incredible, sending, special, time, everything, enjoy your amazing wishes of, from us, a, you, me, this too, very hope is, great, fabulous, best ever, are, important, thank, the, have, at, always, on, really. So you can really spend a lot of time building the perfect sentiment, really. You've got all of the basics in there, like happy birthday, thank you, thinking of you, hello, you're amazing, or you are amazing. You can use as well if your isn't the right your, because that's Y-O-U-R without the apostrophe E, you know. And then you've got like best ever. You can do like happy autumn, happy winter, happy spring. You can do spring wishes, you know, all sorts of different sentiments that you can build with these, and they're really decent size, and I really love this kind of font as well. It sort of looks a little bit cursive, some of the letters like the O and stuff, and you've also got the sort of swirly design, but it's more like capitalized as well. And they're really skinny too, like they're really fine lines, I mean, so yeah, really great. You can see I've been using quite a few of the different ones to build up some sentiments. Then, as well as those on the Hochanda show, they've also got a paper pad, which is called the Adalene craft papers. Their papers are really, really good quality. They're 160 GSM, and this specific paper pad, there's 24 sheets, and you get 4 designs, no, four of each of 6 designs, sorry. So 6 designs, 4 of each. But yeah, I've really, really, really been enjoying them, and they're actually made in the UK as well. I think all their stamps are, yeah, all their stamps are made in the UK too. And you might not think that these papers would go with such a funky kind of design of stamp, but they do actually. And I was actually enjoying stamping onto the papers and cutting them out, and using some dies as well, and die cutting the papers and like inking them and stuff too. So some really gorgeous designs. You've got like this distressed dotty one, which I used on one of my cards. This one again, this was one of the ones that I die cut out and then inked. I used this one to stamp onto and cut the images out. I don't think I used, maybe I did use that one, I can't remember. I don't think I used the last 2 though. But I tried to incorporate them as much as I could, because I tend to create a lot of my own inky backgrounds these days. But I do really enjoy having, or like trying to incorporate pattern papers into my cards as well. And it obviously it helps you have an instant background too. And these are really nice for that instant background look as well. So those are the main products that were on the Hochanda show in the Floral Fireworks release. And so these are some of the designs that I created with them, and I'll also show you any of the other die sets that I used with them too. So I actually used one of the pattern papers in the background for this card, and I stamped onto the pattern papers too. So I used a lot of the foliage and florally, or no, it's just more like foliage, from both of the stamp sets. I think I combined both of them together. Yeah, I did. And then, because I was working on purple papers, I then brought in the Wild Lavender Nouveau glitter marker and added some glitter to different places as well, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And then I've cut all of them out and layered them into a cool wreath kind of design. And in the background, I'm not sure if you can see it, this bit here, that's one of the Polkadoodles dies. And I cut it out of vellum, and then I used some gilding polish over the top. I've actually still got it here. It was heather gilding polish, this really nice light purple, just to tie it in with the whole purple theme of the card. So the extra dies that I've used on this card were this is the border die that I'd used in the background, which is called Glorious Border, which is a really cool design. I think this looks really regal in the middle, like a little crown and stuff. And it's a symmetrical design, and it completely cuts out as well. So it's not one of those ones that it still attaches to the end of the card. This is a completely cut out piece, which is really nice. Then I also used the Happy Birthday die from Polkadoodles as well, to use the happy for that portion. And then I used the anniversary out of the stamp set, and I heat embossed it in white onto black, and I used that black sentiment just to sort of tie in the black stamping that I'd done all the way around the card as well. So that was the first one. Then I did this one. So this is a spray ink background, an inky spray ink background, and I took one of the stamps from number 2, the second set, and just added a few of them in the background, different directions, just to give a little bit of texture. And then I also used this flower from the number 2 set as well, and drew in my own sort of sketchy stalks, and I used Nuvo Aquaflows to colour those in. And then I used another one of the Polkadoodles dies. This one is just called Celebrate. As my sentiment, and I shadowed it with black behind the white. And then again I used this sentiment set and used everything, so it says Celebrate Everything. So I thought that was a sweet little card. Then this one, I was just experimenting. This was my like mini round jelly plate. I put hand sanitizer on it, and then I put some Copic refills on it, and I also put in a few drops of the Villainous pearly alcohol ink. It didn't really move when you put it on the hand sanitizer, which was interesting, but you kind of get these really intensely shiny spots in the background, because obviously you just print the jelly straight onto that. Then I used that small little scribbly rectangle to create a cool stripe design to the back of the card, and I just stamped it in 3 different colours of ink. I used that branchy design again as well, just to sort of add some sort of movement coming out of there. And then I used that one that I said I thought looked like a snowflake, and I brought in the little hearts that are right next to it, and I drew my own scribbly stalk, but then I stamped the hearts and added them on with extra little stems just to give like a whole focal piece. And then for this funny little one here, I actually just mimicked the style of one of these pieces of the snowflakey flower, and drew that on there, but you could just mask off a piece of it and stamp it there as well if you want to. And I just left it black and white. I feel like that's been quite in recently, having colour in the background and then just leaving it as a black and white image in the foreground, so I wanted to give that a go. And then I used the thank you from that sentiment stamp set again. Then this one was using some of the leftover inks plus a pink with the jelly plate just to get that circular design. And then I used this sort of trumpety kind of bell sort of flower shape from the set number 2, and I just stamped it 6 times going around the circular design that was there. And I actually stamped it in a pink colour of ink, and then I coloured them with alcohol pens. I also used the leaf actually as well. I coloured them with alcohol pens, and then after that I came back in and stamped over in black on top of them. I'm not sure if you can really tell I did that, but I thought it gave it a cool look, because you kind of got the offset black to the stamping if you didn't quite line it up, and I quite like that look. And then for the floral elements, was I using the same set? No, I kind of mixed the 2 sets there. Yeah, I completely mixed the 2 sets on this one. But I cut some of the flowers out, and some of the leaves, and I'd coloured them with Nuvo Aquaflows as well, just to give sort of similar colours to the alcohol inks I'd used in the background. And then I also used Happy Everything from that sentiment stamp set to add a bit of interest to the background and then give my final sentiment as well. And then this is the one that I did as a Christmas card. I really love how this turned out. I love this die. What is it called? Let me find it. So I used 2 die sets on this card actually, but this tree die is called Layering Trees, and I love it. It's so cool. I just love that blobby effect of the trees, and the fact that you can use the trunk with any of the 3 sections of the trees to make small little trees as well is really cool. So for this one, I cut the tree, the stalk and the star and all of the everything really out of that patterned paper. So it was this patterned paper, and it doesn't look like I used that patterned paper, but I did. And then I inked it with Twisted Citron and a couple of darker shades of Distress ink, and I just inked that over the top. And then I took a darker green ink pad and actually stamped which one is it? It's from set number 2, that starry one. I actually just stamped that onto it to give some extra texture to it as well. And I used the star from this set as well. And again, I used that swirly one to create little baubles on the tree as well. And this little sentiment banner there is from this die set, which is called the Posydoodles Tags. I really like this one as well. These are perfect for your sentiments. there's another one of that shape cut out, so they're actually smaller on the front here. And then this was the other alternative. I was trying to decide whether to use the flagtail one or the rounded one. So those are the two sizes that they cut out from that die set. But perfect for any of the words in that stamp set as well. They fit absolutely perfectly on them. You can see there, that's the same words, and they fit perfectly on both of those banners. So that was that card. I really do like how that came out. Oh, and actually, yeah, I forgot I did that. So I used this little stamp here and this tiny little one as well. I just used them both together to create some extra interest in the background. I kind of thought it looked a bit like funky falling snow, and I did sort of first generation, second generation ink, and I also added the word winter in the background as well. So I did that one, and then finally I did use a patterned paper on this one too. Finally I did this one, and I've coloured all of these with Copics as well. Just to show that you can do the sort of messy watercolory style that they show on the packaging, which is really gorgeous, or you can use your alcohol pens, you know, glitter markers, anything you want to colour them in as cleanly or as artsy as you like, really. And I just did a whole sort of cascade of flowers down the card, and actually I still kept these two pieces so I could show you. The way I got this little strip here of this tan colour, which is this patterned paper, is I cut this patterned paper down to the exact same size as my panel, and then I was using my stamping platform to stamp all the pieces. So I actually have more pieces that I could use to create another card. But then all I did was snip that little section out of the design and replace it over the top of the one I coloured, just to give a kind of little bit of a different effect. And then obviously you could, if you'd kept all the stamps and stamped a couple of the main backgrounds, you could have split this up again. You could have one card with just the bottom piece, one card with the top piece, or again cutting a few more strips out and create a whole set of cards with that strip in a different place if you wanted to as well. But I just thought that looked really cool. And I really like, I mean, these stamps are so gorgeous, just stamping them and leaving them like that on a patterned paper just in black. I think they look gorgeous, so you really don't need to do much to them to make them look really cool. So that was the final card that I did with these gorgeous Floral Fireworks stamp sets. And then I've tried to show you and tell you the name of any of the die sets that I've also used in conjunction with these too. So I hope you enjoyed this up close video, the first one I've ever done using Polkadoodles stamps, dies, papers, but I have really loved working with them. All of their stamps are really high quality photopolymer stamps, so they're not the kind of ones that are going to fall off the packaging after you've taken them off once. They come off the packaging really easily, they stamp really nicely, even with like distress inks and stuff, they still stamp really nicely, and obviously pigment inks work really nicely with them, and any of the sort of alcohol friendly inks have worked brilliantly with them too. I love these little sentiments, and the fact that these are also the high quality photopolymer means you can slightly curve them for different designs as well if you want to. You could create a whole sentiment that kind of curves. You could have it curving around a circular element on a card as well, and because they're that sticky photopolymer stamp, they're going to stay nicely around that curve whilst you stamp with them. And actually this one, this bell, I did actually curve it on my block. Where's the stamp on here? You see here it's actually completely straight, but I actually curved that on my block so that it would follow that circular element as well. So loads of different things you could do with them. Really high quality papers as well, and their dies are brilliant too. Even some of the intricate ones that I was using, just one pass through the machine and they're absolutely perfectly cut. And I just really love that Christmas tree as well. So anyway, this is sort of an up-close look at the Floral Fireworks kind of release of stamps from Polkadoodles. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!